Hey, Nikki.
Hey, Selena.
And hey, y'all, and welcome to Sweet Tea and TV. I've got great news.
What is it?
Well, it's our favorite gal. We're covering her today.
It's time.
Bernice, we're covering her with our love.
With our laughs.
Yeah, yes, thank you for saving me from what could have gone sideways. But I am just, honestly, I'm over the moon to be discussing our favorite designing women gal.
Oh,
So here we are, especially our last little bit of time with her. I was kind of sad preparing for this one.
Oh, I guess that's true. Maybe it hasn't washed over me yet. Maybe when we get to those final few episodes, I'm going to start feeling really sad.
Yeah. I mean, well, you can just think about some of the worst episodes this season, and that might make you be like, it's fine.
It'll be okay. I'll pull it together.
The time had come. But for now,
put this baby down.
Yeah, exactly. But for now, we can be in a sweet place about it, a bittersweet place.
I like that. I like that.
And I'll also can you let us know or walk us through the very small, piddly list of Bernice episodes? That was the other thing. I was like, what?
It's so weird. She's very present this season, but we have a very short list of episodes that are just about her. So first of all, she doesn't show up until episode 4, but then she's in almost every episode after that. So, but like I said, we only have 2 that have a really meaningful Bernice focus. Episode 4, On the Road Again, and episode 13, Oh Dog, Poor Dog. And I did appreciate your note in our shared document where you were basically like, save me. I feel like there's episodes I'm missing. What have I missed here? And I was like, nope, that's it. You got it.
Yeah. I was nervous.
Yeah. Well, you got it. It's just the 2. But we did have some plot points for her throughout the season. So she enjoys a road trip, which maybe we knew before, but this season it becomes very clear when she goes road tripping with Mary Jo and Julia and kind of sort of snags a long haul trucker for herself. She does lose Anthony to Etienne, but later hits on her dad and dates Etienne's best friend to make up for it. So you win some, you lose some.
Yep.
She has cataract surgery.
What?
Humor abounds. She has surgery. Right. She thinks they're trying to put her down. She sells tickets to see Mary Jo's Magic Elvis shovel. With that episode, I've still only watched one time. It was
I've only watched all of them one time.
Oh, really? I've watched a few of them a couple times. That one was rough.
Yeah.
And then she briefly becomes a palm reader and a psychiatrist. Yeah. Anything that I missed, Selena?
I don't think you've missed any plot points at all. I think for me, some of the things that were rolling through my brain was if season 6 runner was all about her very surprising lovers, like John Denver and whatnot, then this season's runner was been there, done that. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Okay. So, which I realized in going back, she said more than a few times. She said it about menopause. She said about it for posing in the nude for a painting. And then also for riding the elevator down in your underwear and then sauntering over to the newsstand to pick up the latest copy of Paris Match. Because, gosh, we've all been there.
Sure. And
for the right amount of money.
She's had a good long life. So she's had opportunity to do all these things.
I think we've said more than once that that's the person we want to hang out with, right?
Absolutely.
I'm getting my ties with Bernice. But she also feels like maybe she's still in a bit of a sexual awakening journey,
I've heard that happens at that later part of your life too.
1000% support her. I actually found that this episode harder to prepare for because again, there was less substance and lots of funny lines. And I think we would at least get a little bit of just more insight from her instead of boob jokes, also okay. But I would just have liked a little warmth from her as well. And, she's because she is often used that way. But, this sort of is part and parcel to other things that we've discussed with other characters and where it just feels like my designing women radar is going off that something was off here.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think maybe you said this You said it in one of our earlier episodes, like I think it was with Anthony, where they took a feature of his personality or something we knew about him and sort of just exploded it, and it became this caricature. They definitely did that with Bernice too this season. And I think you might have said it in that Anthony episode, like they kind of knew what would work, and so they went with it. That was a huge criticism that I read of this season, was the boob jokes from Bernice and just sort of deducing her to this one-liner sort of character.
Right.
The part of me that enjoys goofiness and zaniness, that was perfect for me.
Totally. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that.
Sure.
It was great. But I think, not everyone gets the opportunity to reflect on every single line and plot point the way we do.
Right. Should they all be so lucky?
Yep, definitely.
So we're calling our Bernice season 7 adventures Bernice Clifton, still a red hot mama.
Yeah, it's a good name. She gives us, and that's the thing about the one-liners. There was lots to pull from.
Lots of those little things, yeah.
Absolutely. So similar to what we've been doing on this trajectory and this journey of ours is getting into these character superlatives for everyone. So are you ready to jump in and tell us what your best Bernice episode was? You got 2 options.
I got 2 options to pull from. So I think if I needed to introduce someone to the character of Bernice only using season 7, I think I probably would point them to episode 4, On the Road Again, which incidentally is also my best Bernice episode for the season. There was so much funny in this one, and she was so like on it every single scene. So when everyone was standing around talking about Julia's new love interest and Bernice reveals that she once dated a CIA operative, Anthony questioned it, and she turned around and gave him a big smile and said, "Can't stand it, can you? Jealous." It was like the physical humor was very funny. The line itself was really funny. And then it was also our first glimmer of that escalated infatuation with Anthony this year. Mm-hmm. And it just made for a delightful, it was early in the episode, and it made for a really delightful entry to this crazy experience they were about to have.
Yeah, I agree. It was, I think out of the 2, it's definitely the best that we could get.
Yeah.
So I cheated.
Oh, okay.
And I went off script.
Oh, no.
And because, I don't know, I was just like, it just wasn't enough to work with. Mm-hmm. So I went with episode 19, The Woman Who Came to Sugar Bakers. This was the one about Julia's former and very grumpy schoolmistress.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And like because, I think you and I both took notes as we were watching the season. And when I went back and looked at everything that Bernice kind of did in each episode, for me, this is the one that kind of stood out. And to be clear, I think we both agreed this episode is not good. Mm. Like, it's just not. The character that's the teacher it was just like not a good character.
Yeah.
We've done grumpy old lady before and I like it.
Yeah.
But this was not the grumpy old lady of season 5.
It didn't hit quite the same note.
No. And again, that sort of goes back to that thing about dipping into the well of things that worked before. But anyways, on that reflection and thinking about maybe this is her best episode. So hear me out for my reasoning. And then you can be like, thank you. And then you can be like, yay or nay.
Okay.
But, we see her go toe to toe with Mrs. Beecham, and she says to her, "Stop right there, sister. You can peck at the chickens, but you don't mess with the mother hen." I really like that because she's feisty.
She is feisty.
But I think maybe my favorite line is later she says, "I'm not crazy about that bitchy woman staying with you." And Julia corrects her and says, "It's Beecham woman." Bernice pauses perfectly and then goes, "No, I think I'm right."
That was my cringy Bernice, only because of the awkwardness that would be if you were in her shoes and said that and didn't have Bernice's brain. You'd be embarrassed.
Not everyone can pull off a line like that. That's
for sure.
True. Although I'd like to give it a shot if the opportunity arises. So then she sneaks into the psychiatrist's office unnoticed by Julia and BJ. And without thought or hesitation, she winds up pretending to be the psychiatrist when a patient comes in. And when the patient says she's in pain, Bernice responds, "Listen, sister, I've got a corn on my foot the size of Baltimore." And she loves her. She miraculously gets through the patient with her nonsense. And then she also still gets a hold of Mrs. Beecham's husband's file. She's a killer.
She's stone cold.
Yes, that's Bernice. Later, everyone is talking about good qualities. This is the boob joke, but I actually think it's pretty funny and I have some thoughts on it. So, everyone's talking about good qualities for getting a job, and Bernice pipes in and she says, "Great knockers don't hurt." I actually think, upon further reflection, that it's maybe less sexist and more of social commentary. So, that's the way I'm choosing to look at it.
Sure. I think that's fair.
So yeah, that's my favorite. How do you feel about my argument? Do you think it stands, or am I on a crazy bender?
Well, that was a weird way to ask that question, because
Sure was.
two things can be true at one time. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And, I think that was something that I struggled with a little bit because, like I said at the beginning, she was present in almost every episode after episode 4 and was definitely brought in for comic relief or to break some scenes up, which for me is like, just that's my favorite kind of character. I just love that. So for me, there was a lot to pull from. And so I almost had to restrict myself to just the 2 episodes where she was heavily featured. Otherwise, I don't know that I could have really parsed back through and picked one. So I love that you picked one. She wasn't the plot line wasn't her main focus, but she definitely was super present. I love that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Well,
I think her feistiness, I think, is what came across for me thinking about my favorite episode 4, because that her interaction over the long haul trucker. Oh my God, that was just delightful. She says, "Why don't we take him back to the Motel 6 and ravage him?" She's just like, oh, I don't know. She's on it. She's just like, Then she says, "Hey, big boy, I'll be your long haul mama if you'll be my hard driving man."
I mean, accept the offer.
And then I also loved in that episode how she took Julia and Mary Jo to task for not actually being spontaneous. If you're going to pick one of the characters who's spontaneous you want to learn from, wouldn't it be Bernice? Like, she's
hands down.
She's up for anything. She's probably done everything a couple of times.
Sometimes, yeah.
And I really liked when she peer pressured them into making some roadside stops. She's like, Slim Jims. Then she's reading off a billboard, 23 flavors, all you can eat clam night. And you'd pass that all up for Tennessee? I'm sorry, but that is not spontaneous in my book. I want to take a road trip with her.
Yeah. Don't eat the clams, though.
Probably not a great idea.
Just some advice.
Unless you want
to your final destination.
Or maybe you don't want to make it to your final destination.
That's true. Yeah.
Spontaneity sometimes is about the journey, not the destination, Selena.
That's right. Fly by the seat of your pants. Don't worry about that money you put down on Airbnb. Don't worry about it.
Who cares? I think I am going to go back and watch that Mrs. Beecham episode, though. Because I think you did tell me she had some really funny moments in it.
Yeah, it's probably worth just again, I wouldn't know. I only watch everything once. Don't listen to me. But just fast forwarding to like places where you see Bernice is probably...
That one and the Elvis Shovel one are probably the 2 that I haven't watched again this season. Because I just... I can't. It's rough. They're not great.
We talk about worst episodes?
Mine is so short and sweet. It's just Oh Dog, Poor Dog. It just wasn't a shining episode in general. And Bernice's storyline just really wasn't that compelling in that episode.
Ditto. So like there's no reason to like keep looking that gift horse in the mouth. That's not the right saying, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. We don't have to
Don't keep kicking that
horse.
cow. That's how that goes, right?
I actually usually say don't keep kicking the Selena. Is that not right?
Oh, please don't.
You know what people say?
Stop kicking me. So the next one in our superlatives here would be up to 3 funniest moments. Nikki, before you go ahead and kick us off with some of yours, and we can volley back and forth if you'd like. I was honest. I put it in our planning document. I'm not holding it to 3. This is Bernice. It's our last episode with her. I don't care.
Yeah. And after you gave me that permission, I opened it up a little bit. I have like 9. But some of them...
why don't you knock out like a few, maybe up to 3?
Some of them you've already mentioned. The Been There, Done That runner. I specifically noticed it through episode 4 and 5. It's just so perfect for her to have been there and done that on the zaniest things. So I really appreciated that runner. I also loved in episode 5, this one is for you, Selena, when she said, I sent over 100 reports to that hype report woman and she never responded.
Oh, I don't even think I caught that line.
Oh, yeah. Because, again, thinking about dipping in the well, I think this was where they said, and something about the height report. They brought it up, like, and you remember that New York Times article or whatever? And she said,
Oh, okay.
I sent over 100 letters to her. So I thought you would appreciate that one.
Oh, man, I wish I had caught that one.
So it's episode 5. You can go back and catch that one. And then I'll mention episode 6, where she said, well, when I ask for 3 cherries, I want 3 cherries. I don't want a lime and a cherry and a damn bunch of grapes. She was just so angry. And I feel
she was a little bit more angry this season.
Yeah.
She was really going through something.
Teetering on the edge. And I think it's something you and I can relate to.
Uh-huh.
Teetering right there on the edge.
Ashley.
We went out to dinner last night. I'm not the type of person that will ever send a thing back, but we went out to dinner last night and the kids didn't get what they wanted. And I said something about it. That's where I am in life. I'm saying stuff now.
I'm talking.
Normally I'm like, just eat it, guys. It's going to be fine. But now, I don't know.
That's sometimes hard with kids, I would imagine. Just eat it.
I mean, yeah, it is.
Just eat that olive tapenade.
Usually we push through it because it's just, you got to learn. You got to learn. But last night I was having none of it.
That's a good lesson. Yeah. Well, you know what? There are some weeks or months long stretches where you just want what you want and need what you need. So I hope
Bernice
whatever
is
you
there.
had was delicious. Was it Mexican?
It was Friday night Mexican night. It was cheese and bean
I
nachos.
know you.
And they put chicken on top. And the kids don't like the shredded chicken.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not that that matters. But I've channeled my inner Bernice.
Yeah. Now I want nachos. I don't know that's quite the same, but I really want it. So my first one for Bernice is, and I realize I'm like all over the place here, but it's episode 15, New Julia, New York morning. Just imagine the humiliation of walking into a gallery and seeing a painting of yourself naked, 6x4 right there for all the world to see. Bernice jumps in and goes, been there, done that. I was a new model. Bernice, you have not. I was a new model for the art class at Leisureland. There is no greater humiliation than being painted naked by a group of artists with cataracts. A lot of cataracts this season.
It's the health issue of a certain age, I think.
Of course. And then I have a trifecta of what I'm going to call horny Bernice returns, or maybe she never left.
I don't think she left.
I just actually, you had this one already about the trucker ravage him or take him to the field. I just also want to pipe in that is a big Thelma and Louise reference, and I'm going to call that a Thelma and Louise reference in case Nikki ever allows that to be our special episode. I'm just going to throw that down right here. Episode 16 and Sex Lies and Bad Hair Days. I'm so curious if this made it on your list or not. She said, I could fix you up with Big Tony at Tony's Pizzeria. Do you know why they call him Big Tony? Because he can balance a calzone on his... Bernice!
Come on, Selena. Get it together. Mixed
and
company.
then episode 18, It's Not Easy Being Green. And it's where we learn that she is dating Etienne's best friend. I just can't, I can't. It's
that
great.
Was so good.
I love it. He's like, I'm just fascinated. I'm wrapped by this woman. and then Bernice walks through. I was like, oh,
of course you are.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, it was good stuff. What else you got?
Episode 7, I loved the line, reality's a sucker's game. Homie, don't play that. Oh, yeah. That runs through my head a not insignificant number of times a week. So commit that to memory. Reality's just the sucker's game, guys.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, homie, don't play that.
I say that a lot. I do.
All the time.
Just everything. Homie, don't play that. She had a lot of aggressive comments toward Anthony's love interest this season that were hilarious, including, unfortunately for us, a few that were cut. So the Odyssey, I think this one was in the main episode when they're talking about how Etienne can't join them for the inauguration. I can't remember what they say to explain why she can't be there, but she says she's a she-beast. And then she says, well, whoop-de-doo, she's Florence Nightingale in a G-string and pasties. That was so funny. She really hates Etienne.
She does. It is not great.
And then this
Not great for Etienne.
Not great for Etienne. So this one was a cut line when they were talking about Vanessa in episode 6. So this was before Vanessa broke up with him, or maybe right when she broke up with him. But there was a threat of physical aggression from Bernice. So where's Anthony right now? He's in the storeroom. He doesn't want to see anybody. Oh, I cannot believe that anybody would do this to a man 2 weeks before the wedding. I knew it was coming. That girl was no good. You could just tell it. She was always looking at herself in the mirror. And when she put her lipstick on, she'd purse her lips up like this. I just don't like a woman who does that. I mean, it's like la-dee-da and ha-cha-cha and ain't I something. I ought to go over there and slap her face off. Would you drive me? Bernice, you're not going to slap anybody's face off. Sit down. This is no time to be acting goofy.
Oh, that is pretty aggressive.
And I would just have loved to see her act that out. And then the last one was episode 13, Oh Dog, Poor Dog. You mess with my homeboy, you get busy with me. Woof, 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 woof. Hilarious.
All right, I've got 2 more.
Okay.
So episode 17, Shovel Off to Buffalo, we get a recount of her strange morning to Mary Jo. So Mary Jo says, I have had the strangest morning. Then Bernice pipes in, me too. I washed my face, brushed my teeth, had a little breakfast, and then got dressed. Bernice, that sounds perfectly normal. I agree. So why were all those people in the Walmart so upset? But you kind of like knew it was coming. I don't know if for some reason I saw this episode years ago, but I was like, she's in the Walmart, isn't she? But it landed still just as good for me.
It's just as funny every time.
That's right. And then finally in episode 12 in the Odyssey, where she comes dressed in her nightgown when everyone else gets in their ball gown while stranded at the airport for the Clinton inauguration. And I just want to say that I think her reasoning was pretty sound. I didn't write it down, but it was basically something like, you said to come what I'm comfortable in. I'm comfortable in my nightgown. I'm like, not a nightgown because... Well, I am old, but I'm not that old. And I was like, yeah, same. Like, I want soft pants, and I want them now.
Yes. I think I'm going to switch to the moo-moo life, actually, because even soft pants sometimes are a little too constricting,
Yeah, sometimes you have to come home and you take off your soft pants and you put on softer, baggier pants.
Yeah, it's the bagginess, I think. Yeah, I'm feeling the need for a lot of baggy lately.
Yeah. So up next is our up to 3 cringiest or most obnoxious moments. You want to kick us off?
I just had that episode 19 misunderstanding about Miss Beecham versus Miss Bitchy.
I'm telling you, I'm waiting for a bitchy Miss Beecham to come into my life.
So you can have that line when she
comes.
I
want to give you something cringy to react to. Yeah, I think the closest thing I had for her might be the constant dragging of Etienne, but it's mostly funny. Like we already talked about. Like some of the lines are just really good. And she's in love with Anthony.
Yeah.
Let the woman love.
I mean, she just feels very strongly about him. And we can't control someone's emotions.
I love.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody's always saying that about me.
Selena,
she's such a cuddle nugget.
So when someone asks me about my co-host, I say, Selena, she's a real cuddle nugget. You should know something about her. It's the
I really need
nuggetness.
Someone to call me a cuddle nugget now. Last week, I just need you to know that Casey said that living with me is like living with a Disney character.
Oh.
Because I'm always singing and dancing around the house.
Oh, that's nice. That's so lovely.
I guess. I'm like, which Disney character?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Like
Gaston?
Snow White?
Because I was thinking like
Ursula.
The Beast. For me, it would be like the Beast. You're always just surly and angry.
I mean, kind of. Don't tell me who I could be. I like to pop around. I do think the villains have some good songs. I'm just saying.
It's true.
That's some good stuff. Okay, so then we have the most socially or culturally important or relevant plot. I really like how distilled I made that. Isn't that nice?
Yes, you did.
What do you have?
I think for me, probably the closest we came to was actually Oh Dog, Poor Dog. And only because we have this concept of a living will and what elderly people must think when they have a health issue and they're worried about someone taking care of them. Like, can you imagine going into, at a certain age, any sort of procedure must feel a little bit scary. And then do the people around you know what to do on your behalf?
Yeah. No, I mean, okay, so I have nothing because I was like, she's just like a one woman joke machine.
Yeah.
But that is absolutely a very relevant issue. And as we get older and everyone else gets around us older, I'm thinking about it all the time. So,
Because
ugh.
from the caregiver perspective, you have to make really big decisions on behalf of someone else, not really knowing what they would want unless they told you.
Right.
And I think it was this season because we talked about one of the characters was talking about dying, and like we have to have conversations about dying, and people are super uncomfortable doing that.
Maybe BJ.
I was thinking about BJ, and I was thinking it was maybe that one, but like having a living will is super important.
Totally.
Just so you know, and
Yep,
make
we
sure
both
you
have
something
one.
in place. Good, okay, because it's super uncomfortable.
Oh, I meant you and me. Not together. I just know you have one too.
When you said we both have one, I thought you meant you and Casey.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Okay.
Our
Yes.
will is combined.
Yes, and when we went to talk to the lawyer about the will, it was right after I had Carolina. We had to have some really uncomfortable conversations. It's really uncomfortable, but you have to do it. And so I was thinking about that a little bit in that episode. Yes, it was silly and goofy, but also that's tough. That's a tough place to live.
Well, and it's something emotional that we could have done our extra sugar on living wills. What a treat.
Instead, we'll do mental health. What a treat.
Well, I think right now is a good time
It's
to
just
talk
a
about
good
mental
time
health.
for
You know,
it.
it's always a good time, but right now especially feels like one. But when something so emotional meets some like legalese, I just remember being very uncomfortable with what I'm going to call the pull the plug language. Because I was like reading through it and I was like, I still don't understand. And I feel like this is one of those instances where I don't want to fake it until I make it because I may not make it or I may make it when I didn't want to. So I really need to understand. That's my stance on it is what I'm saying.
That's the one that stresses me out the most is being your family's trying to protect you by keeping you alive, but you're getting nothing out of it and it's causing everybody pain along the way.
Yeah. It gets really complicated.
We talked about this, you and I did, in it's the same episode where Mary Jo's making decisions about her dog Brownie. And it's an interesting juxtaposition to put those two things together, Bernice having a health scare and a dog, because we do treat dogs so much more humanely than we do people.
Right.
And especially if you don't have a living will that puts forward what you want to happen in difficult situations, they're going to make the decision to keep you alive, whether you're really there or not.
Yeah.
And living your best life.
So get that will together.
Get it together. Socially and culturally relevant, Selena.
I believe legally Zoom will do it for a more affordable price. That was what has been suggested to me in the past. Or legal, not legally Zoom, but maybe it's legal Zoom.
Legal Zoom. That sounds right.
Okay. So yeah, look at that. Relevance. How about, I can't believe it. Not with all those lines, but we're ready to rate this sucker.
Holy crap.
What you got?
My rating scale is outpatient pitchers of vodka stingers.
Yeah.
That's a throwback to old dog, poor dog. I gave her a 5 out of 5. She's simply magnificent. She didn't have a ton of substance. We didn't have a lot of Bernice focused episode, but I felt like where the writers did use her, they used her at least in an enjoyable way. So she became, we talked about this earlier, a bit of a character of herself, the over-the-top physical threats toward Vanessa or Etienne, the one hot mama stuff, but it never got old to me. It was always surprising and fun. And in the end, if nothing else, Bernice ends up with Anthony, which is just the way we feel like she deserves. So 5 out of 5 from me.
Totally. I did give her 5 out of 5 as well, but I think I'm going to up it to 10 out of 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like it. I'll co-sign on that.
Let's go out with a bang with Bernice.
Mm-hmm.
I think from my perspective, it's pretty similar, but I'll just say that, Bernice is a good time. It doesn't matter where she is or what everyone else is doing. She is down to party. Mm-hmm. She is one red hot mama on the prowl, and I am here for it. I can only hope to be like a smidge as fun as her when I get to that age, or now for that matter, in terms of how she went out again in Anthony's arms. I mean, sure, it was a fantasy, but I can live on that fantasy. I can.
Why not?
It'll be totally fine. And, she was the last thing that we saw in the show. And in my world, all is right in the world.
That makes it doesn't that feels right somehow.
It honestly, it really, after what was such a letdown of a season, frankly.
Yeah.
It was like when you've watched a really bad movie, but the end's really good.
Yeah.
And you go, maybe it's not that bad.
Right.
You know?
It wasn't enough to inspire you to watch the episodes multiple times, but.
Nope.
It left you with a good taste in your mouth.
That's right. It sure did.
That's what's important. Well, Bernice, we loved her. I'm sad it's over. But
as my grandma would say, and I have no idea what it means, and maybe someone will tell me sometime. No, it's not bad. Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
Oh, man, now I want to Google that. I'm going to hold back. Hold it back.
Hold it back.
Hold back. For our next episode, I guess we're moving on to Carlene.
Yes.
So we'll come back next week and talk about her. In the meantime, we'd love everyone to follow along with us and engage. Instagram and Facebook at Sweet Tea and TV. We're on TikTok at Sweet Tea TV Pod. We're on YouTube at Sweet Tea TV 7371. Our email address is sweetteatvpod@gmail.com. And you can find us online at www.sweetteatv.com. There are lots of ways you can support the show. You can tell your family and friends about us, rate and review the podcast wherever you listen, and then you can also visit the Support Us page on our website to support us. And then come back Thursday for an extra sugar. We've alluded to it. As we find ourselves teetering on the edge, it becomes increasingly important for us to have this extra sugar.
Help,
please. That
Please
should have been
help.
the title. Help.
You're right.
We're going to take this opportunity to think about mental health. We're doing it because we've sort of talked about Bernice's mental health arterial flow issues over the years, but we're going to use that to think about whether Bernice teaches us something about the Southern portrayal of mental health and the Southernness of mental health, how we approach it in the South. But also, Selena and I are going to take a couple minutes and share some of our mental health tips and tricks, which we are using a lot lately.
And then reach out. What are yours? Help us.
Please help.
Let's build a community,
That's what we're aiming for here. That's
right.
the goal.
Well, you know what that means.
What does it mean, Selena?
It means we'll see you around the bend.
Bye.